So, thank you all for joining on short notice. And we were just talking a little bit about the directive. Is there anybody that hasn't gotten it, not seen it, don't know what I'm talking about? If you could, indicate that in the chat or speak up. So everybody's seen it. So what we were just talking about was the fact that there are 25 courses on that grid. And while we only have 20, actually 21, because we've split one into two. We've got a 15A and a 15B. We are not, oh, thank you. Thank you, Kate. We're still letting people in here. Let's give them a second to join.
Hey, Maureen, I noticed I don't have the co-host.
Oh, we'll make you a co-host. I don't know what I did. Maybe I just took control.
Got it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Catherine, Kate, for putting the directive and the grid in the chat. As you know, Roxy and Ryan sent something out. I sent something out. This reporting is going to start as effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026. So technically, we've got a year to get our act together. But for the most part, most people are doing that or have done that, with the exception of some people that need to upload their past PCT or PCP and cultural humility training that they've done, instructor led, and any other that they want to tag. If they don't have them in the LMS, they're not going to be pulled into the report. So that's kind of the homework that we have for people. And we're going to do another workshop probably in about a week on how to bring that in. If you've got it in a spreadsheet, it'll be easy for you to transfer that data into a spreadsheet you can upload to the LMS. We've got some people that are uploading user data because we discovered a couple of centers were not included in the report, and that's because they didn't have the hire dates marked for those people that joined their center after July 1st. So I've been talking to them independently, and we're going to get that corrected so they'll be included in the report. So that being said, I'm going to turn it over to Juan to just kind of go over what we've discovered is happening. And Juan, you can share your screen to
Sure.
show them where the problem lies. When people are uploading user data, they're wanting to go in and make connections and get rid of people that are, they haven't deactivated. They want to make them false because they're no longer with the center. Those uploads, as I've said in the past, have to be done exactly using the headers that are in that file that you download to put your data in. So if you download a list of users from your branch, you can't change the header. So most people are not doing that. Thank you very much. But some people are filling in the blanks by typing in certain data that doesn't, it's not a choice that exists in the LMS. And Juan's going to go over that with you right now, what the problem is.
Okay, and I'm using myself as an example, and it's probably not a good example just because Here in the DDS service coordinator, you can see it's locked as a no. And there should be two options, yes and no, both capitalized. Um,
Juan, why don't you
yes.
just create a new user? Just
Okay.
bring up, add a new user and you can show
Sure,
everything.
sure.
Yeah.
It's a good idea. So I'm just gonna skip all this and oh, I think they may have locked it for now.
No, we did, remember?
Oh, okay. Is that why? Is that why we can't?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let me unlock it. Let me
Okay,
go there and
that's what
unlock it.
happens. Okay, thank you.
Let me see here. That's why we should have asked them. Okay, sorry. Hang on a second. We're letting some more people in. While we're doing this, um, is the user type also locked? I don't think we did that one.
No, no, just I think it was just that piece.
Well, maybe you can go to that one while I'm doing this one.
Okay, the only thing is that it won't. I'll have to like get out of it and come back, but that's okay. So when we go to user type, if you notice, we have a couple of extra meta tags, and I'll start with this one because it's the obvious one. So when uploading, doing a bulk upload, um, just be careful when you're doing these bulk uploads that you're not changing anything in the headers. I'm not sure what exactly happened here that added this, where everything's just kind of all together. But I can see
I
that
can
there's.
tell you. Let me jump in there.
Oh,
This has
sure, sure.
nothing to do with the headers. Let's back up. You can refresh this because I just unlocked that. So when you're adding a file, I would prefer it if you send it to me first because I can spot these things right away. So this was a case where somebody uploaded a data file for their users and they didn't put anything in the user type. So there were people that were blank in the user type. And what it did was it added a choice that said all of the user types here. So we're going to have to get rid of that. But before we do, we have to, we're having Thinking Cap go into the database, identified what center uploaded those, and then change that to regional center employee because that's what it should have been. But there was not anything in there, so it created. It needs something there. It's a it's looking for it and it didn't know, so put it all there. Go back up to the
Okay.
yes no DDS. Okay. You see now where it says yes, no, and then there's a yes with a lowercase y. Somebody filled in their grid, their spreadsheet before they uploaded it, and they typed in the word yes, thinking that it wasn't case sensitive, but it is. So what it did was it created another choice, and it created it for everybody because this is a global field. It's not one you guys can edit or add things to. However, it does allow you to bulk upload and add the choice if it's not there. So whatever is in that column, you've got to put yes and no, just as it is here. Yes with a capital Y and no with a capital N in that column if you're going to be altering data by uploading bulk users. And if you're doing it by uploading activities and you've got users in the activities, you got to make sure that you're not, populating that, that choice with a brand new choice. If there's a typo in it, if you put regional center and you misspell it, it's going to create that as a choice. And Christo's asking if there's something they can do to prevent that. We had that discussion this morning, and apparently locking it down it's not, these are universal required fields that the system has to run on, and they're going to affect all their clients. And some clients, this would be a problem for. Not quite sure why, but anyway, the global ones, we don't want anybody adding additional choices there. And apparently, the feature is that when you upload something and you don't have a choice there, it's going to add the choice. So if the supervisor isn't there, it's going to add them if they're in the database, which is a good thing. It saves us time of having to go in and update all the choices all the time if you're doing a bulk upload. But anyway, so the answer, Christo, is no. So I'm just saying, be cautious about that if you're doing your uploads yourself. And if you're unsure, and I would say going forward, please make sure you send it to me first. I can take a look at the data and say, go forward, or I can upload it for you. But I just don't want to have to keep going in and having them. Now, what they're doing now is going in and everywhere it says lowercase yes, they're changing it to uppercase Y in the word yes. So that, and then they're going to, once they do all that, they're going to delete that option. So for now, when you're creating new users, then don't choose the lowercase yes. We're going to get rid of it. Same with that other one, there's somebody put just employee there. So it created another field for employee. We've got to find who did that, go to that branch, make all the changes, and then we're going to delete it from here. So no, if there are required fields, user type, first name, last name, any of the required global fields, see they're all asterisks there. They're global fields and they're all required. Email, password, go on, scroll down. And then the DSP also is one that's required. So those are all global fields. Those fields have to be filled out. Otherwise, it's going to reject it or it's going to create havoc. So they got to be no typos, no blanks. So when you're uploading those, and somebody asked how many is ideal. Well, if you are downloading all your people, you can weed out the people that are fine and just upload those that are you're filling in the blanks. So there's no ideal. The more people in there, the longer it takes to upload. That's the only difference. But yeah, if the people are the same, nothing's changed. It's just going to check, all the same, skip them. But if there's something different, it'll make the change. So, it's up to you. But to be on the safe side, if we're doing this now, just send me the file and I'll take a look at it and I'll be able to, point out the things that are going to cause a problem and we can fix it. So thanks, Juan. Sorry, I hijacked your presentation, but we were going in a different direction.
No problem.
Okay, is there any question about that? Okay, well, let me share my screen and we'll go on to talk about the data. Let me get rid of all this. Find my taskbar here and pull up the report. Okay, so this is the report. Whoa. This is the report that I created and downloaded from the LMS. And as you could see, we've got the title of the course, we've got the course code, and right now I'm pulling in the first name, last name, email, because I want to double check, at least on the ones I know. But the report that DDS is going to get is only going to have this student ID. You're not going to have the email and the first and last name. We want the date completed. And as you can see, all these are in July and August, maybe some in September, I don't know. But anyway, it's that. And then over here is the onboarding tag that we put in there. So you can see these are all number 7, the Lanterman Act. And if you look at your grid, that's lines up with that. I've lined up the numbers so they match the final grid, and that's working fine. I also brought in this field, which will not be in the DDS report, but I just want to double check there are no no's here, and it's pulling them in, only the yeses. So that will eliminate from the data report as well. And then we do the hire date here. And you notice there's some from 2024, and the reason for that is, you know, maybe people are taking this, you know, like here, let's see, mandated reporting. The people have to take this every year. So maybe this person took it in 2020 and they haven't taken it again. Maybe they need to, but it's going to pull in people that are taking required compliance courses if they are tagged with the DDS tag. Any questions about that? So we don't want those people in the report. So once I pull this data, I have to remove them. So I'm going to be sorting by hire date and getting rid of anybody that was hired prior to July 1st. Otherwise, you're going to have somebody that's only completing one course. And they are an SC. They completed the course, but they did it years ago. We don't want them in there. So we're going to filter out those dates of people that are taking it. Which is why it's very important to have the hire dates, because there are some people that do not have their hire dates here. And I've got this sorted by just Lanterman, but we've got all the regional centers. If we look at Alta, California, we'll see, you know, we're pulling in only those with the higher dates.
Maureen, there's a question in the chat from Kate,
Okay.
and she's asking, is it based on a course being assigned or a course being taken for those who are being pulled like the 2024 hires?
No, they completed it. This is a completion report. Date completed. If it's tagged, it gets pulled into the report. If they're an SC, they get pulled into the report. And the hire dates, we're pulling the report based on the hire dates. But if somebody, we can't filter a range, a date range for hire dates. All we can do is include the hire date in the report. So even though we only want to see completions by hire dates, it doesn't matter because we cannot tell the report to only give us people that completed during that date parameter, because there is no way to do that. We just bring in the hire dates. So if they completed it now, they're going to come into the report. You see what I'm saying? So if they completed it after July 1st, they're going to be in the report. This is going to get filtered out, but don't worry about it. That's something I'm going to take care of behind the scenes. So I'm going to close this out and open up, show you a different report that gives you more of an idea. Okay, so that data is going to get dumped into a spreadsheet, and then we're going to sort of sort and crunch the numbers and add formulas and that sort of thing, so people get to know what's happening. So this is how it's going to look for DDS. They're going to get the student ID, the hire date, the regional center, and then all of these columns are the different 25 trainings. And right now we're including all 25, but we're going to get rid of the ones that are not developed yet. But if it says true, they took it. If it says true, they took it. If it says false, they have not yet taken it. And then it's going to say how many of those 25 they completed. So this person, student ID, user number, has completed 12 of the 25 courses. So they're considered half done. And like I said, these columns here, we're going to get rid of them, and or what we're going to do is not include them in the formula, because it's really, they've completed 12 out of 20 courses. So anyway, that is going to tell you how much of the percentage are they done, have they done. So this is a report, and I just filtered it by Lanterman, but this is a report of all the new hires. We put everybody in there, you'll see them all. So you're looking at who they are. You can sort it by regional center. Let's look at Alta again, because we got a lot of new hires. Oops, sorry. Okay, so here's Alta. These are all their new hires from July 1st through today, or yesterday, actually, when we ran this. We check to make sure there's no duplicates. There is not. Then we look at the regional centers. Now, this is the most important part of the report, because this is the statewide numbers. So here we have all the regional centers, and like I said, there are 2 regional centers, Valley Mountain, West Side, that have yet to get all their data in there to count this, and their people tagged. So they're not showing up in the report because they're not tagged. And we're having that, private individual conversations with them about how to get that done. So let's look at Alta. They have 32 new hires, and of those 32 new hires, 25 have done cultural humility, 22 have done PCP, none have done the standard IPP template. Maybe they did it before July 1st in person. A lot of people did it before December. So this would only be onboarding new people. And if you have an in-person one, please tag it with number 3 so that they'll be counted. And if you're using the e-learning module, it's automatically tagged. The Lanterman Act, 28 of those 32 have done that. 23 have done community inclusion or HCBS. 12 out of the 32 have done employment first, and so on. I'm not going to go through them all. And, as you can see here, we get over here and nobody's done, crisis risk management because it's not available. Title 19, not available yet. Basic rights. Oh, maybe those are available. Sorry. I'm sorry. Back up. Provisional eligibility, they must have a course on communication. And Ryan, you want to say yes or no to that?
Yeah, we went through and mapped out our ACRCU new hire onboarding with what was available in the LMS, and we tagged where there was overlap. So the importing of the ILTs is the big one.
Yeah, you must have something on communicating, and you've tagged it because they're showing up here. At any rate, we're going to take these out, so we're not, continue to tag them. If you have them, if you don't worry about it. When it's available, you can tag it then. If it's something that they're doing statewide, we're going to put it in the shared folder and give it to you tagged already, and they'll show up in this report. But for now, sort of disregard this. So of the 32 people, and the 20 courses, or 20, in their case, 21 courses that are available, there have been 419 completions of those courses. And of the 25, if we're using 25, there are 13% towards being 100%. So this is the kind of data that, DDS is going to look at. Like, see, IRC has quite a few new hires in that period of time.
Maureen,
And, yes,
there's another question. It's from Kate again. She's asking how you're getting the staff count, because that's not what she has as her new hire count.
Yeah, when was this report pulled? This one we're looking at?
a couple of days ago, yeah.
Because I have more than that as well.
Okay, so that we need to know. We need to know. And, the thing is, I need to go in and stay on the call. We'll look at your users that are not represented here, and we'll see, are they tagged, yes or no? If they're not tagged yes or no, if they're not tagged as yes for SCs, they're not going to be counted here.
I wonder if they're tagged with that, it's called lowercase y. Maybe
I'm
that's
pretty sure
maybe that's
mine
what
are
counts.
not.
Yeah,
I've
Okay.
definitely
I
gone
don't
for the
think you-
uppercase ones.
Well, here's the thing. You may have hired more people, but are they SCs? Caseload carrying SCs?
And this is from 7-1?
Yes.
Okay, I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I guess I do only have 4 that, no, 4, 5.
Well, let's talk after, but
Yeah,
if they're not tagged as SCs, they're not going to show up here, even though they may take these courses. That's fine.
you're just talking about the yes, nos, right?
I'm talking about if they're not a yes in the SC category,
Mhm.
then that field is not a yes, they're not going to show up here. Does that mean that in your new hire onboarding learning path, you don't have other people taking person-centered or cultural competency or Lanterman Act? Yes, we do too. And we have way more than 4 people that have been hired in that time frame, but they're not SCs.
Right,
So
I
they're
definitely have
voting.
6.
You have 6. Well, let's take a look, and if they were hired after this, if their start date is after this report was
date, yeah.
done, then they're not going to be here.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So does that clear it up for people?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have a issue with the numbers here? That we want to stay on the call and maybe go over?
No,
Because
but I
one
have a
thing
quick
is right.
question. When the state is asking for these, records essentially, are they going to ask each individual regional center, or are they going to ask you as the LMS administrator to
No.
pull this?
No, I talked with Ernie yesterday, day before, 2 days ago, and showed him what we've got,
Mhm.
and this is what is going to be delivered to them.
Okay, so it's
And
not
so-
like we are, obviously we can check to make sure everything is correct on our end,
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but they're gonna ask you.
Yes, we're
Okay.
going to give them your report. Yes.
Got it. Okay.
But not until we make sure that, we're going to be doing this. I'm going to do it first on a monthly basis until we just make sure that that we can rely on the data.
Yeah, are you gonna
do
send it
that.
to us just to be like, is this correct?
Yeah,
Until
we're
we
gonna
get it
go
all
over it.
smoothed out?
You check your regional center
Okay,
and that sort of thing. So
cool.
yeah,
Okay.
we're gonna do some spot checking here and there. We're
I
not
know
gonna.
I know we're figuring it out right now, Maureen, so.
Yeah. This is a lot, but here's what they want to know. They want to know how many people did your center hire, and then here's the total of the 18 centers that are here, or 17 centers that are here. There were 249 new hire SCs, people that met that category, and that's providing your tagging appropriately. And of those, 174 completed. So over here, you're going to get the statewide total percentage of where we are. And they're going to take this data and they're going to put it in like a bar graph or a pie chart or whatever. But that's how it's going to look for them, you know. They're going to get all this other stuff because they want to make sure that we're not just making this stuff up. So they're going to have all this data, which feeds into this sheet. And then we've got this sheet that's kind of lays it all out, which you can filter by regional center. So, you know, that's something. Now, the data that I have right now, when I run this report, I'm going to include names because I have no idea who this person is, and I'm sure you don't either. So I'm going to be including the names and the email addresses in there so that you can make sure that we're pulling accurate data for, like Nancy's saying, well, we have 6 and you're only reporting 4. And so after this meeting, Nancy, just stay on for a short time and we'll look up those 6 people and see, are they tagged appropriately? So, but that's what the report is pulling in. And that's where we are, you know, and it's, you know, telling us all this data for these individuals and what percentage of the 25 they're completed. And like I said, I did this so that these things were included. So Ernie knew that we're going to have them there, but we're going to not include them in the formulas because it's not fair. You know, most people are going to be false, false, false. So we can't include that in the percentage of compliance until they're available. Now, I'm hoping they'll be available before the end of the year, but when, I don't, you know, I don't know the answer to that. So once they're included, then we'll include it, we'll change the formula to reflect that. Now, the other thing is, what about people that have a start date in June? Let's say they start June 15th, 2026. And the report runs through June 30th, 2026. Now that person that starts on the 15th of June, 2026, is no way they're going to complete all 25. Let's say they're all available. How are they going to do that in a week or 2? Maybe they can, but maybe there's no ILT available for PCT or cultural humility. So I raised that issue with Ernie and I said, what are we going to do with those people who have a start date that is so close to the cutoff date that there's no way that they can be compliant? So, you know, and he said, well, we will take a look at that data. And if there are a lot of people like that, and I said, I'm sure there will be, then we can decide, you know, what's the best date to cut off the hire date. Because if you are going to say somebody has to be 100% compliant, yet they can't be compliant in this year, they're going to not be in the next report, you know, it starts a new year. So, and they were hired prior. So anyway, that's DDS's problem to solve. And that's kind of how we left it. It's like, we'll figure out a way, because I said, otherwise nobody will ever be 100% unless you stop hiring people a couple of weeks before the report is due, because there's no way they can complete it, you know. So anyway, that's the only glitch really that I can see, and that's not for us to solve, it's for them. And I see there's a bunch of stuff in the chat, so I'm hoping that people are monitoring that for me. So any other questions?
Maureen, yes, just one question. Do we know what they mean by the future due date on the RCPM?
The future due date?
Yeah.
I don't know. Show me where that is. Where are you getting that future due date?
Hey, are you still here? Do you want to unmute if you're still here?
Yeah, for the the categories that got moved into a different section, it just says like TBD. Do we have any idea what TBD means? Does anyone know?
Okay, this is Roxy. I can answer that. So if you recall from the original list, there was 3 topics that were not in existence with materials. So we developed a work group for those 3 topics, provisional eligibility and all of those, and you know who you are because you're in those work groups. So those ones are currently in the works, and we have gotten approval from the department with UConn and all that stuff. So those 3 were moved to the bottom of the grid that you're looking on at, and it's under the category of future release. In addition to those 3, the department also added 2 additional ones, which is the respite tool. And the other one is, let me pull it up. Standardized respite assessment and then eligibility under early start. So those 2, the work group added way after the fact, and they don't have any details, and that's what you see to be determined. Whereas with the other 3, the crisis intervention, the communication, the provisional eligibility, because we already started to work on that, we already have some solid information on that. So in terms of to be determined, we do not know when that's going to be. However, for the standardized respite assessment, we do have a strong notion that that's probably going to be after the launch of that tool, which the department will be rolling out their version of trainings as similar as they did with the IPP template, and we utilize that material to kind of develop that IPP standardized module. So we'll probably be in a similar fashion for that particular one. But right now, again, because everything is not really solidified for the last 2 topics, it is just up in the air.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So these were the ones that are in the grid. Those last 5 ones that are in the, they're here. The ones I said we're not including them in the report, even though you have people, you have centers that have developed something for provisional eligibility. Here's a center that's got 1 person taking it. So they have a training, but that's a future release. Because this is one of the ones Roxy's talking about, provisional eligibility, communicating with people with IDD and people in crisis. And then those 3 we're working on, and then these other 2 have been added by DDS. So we're not counting them. They're here. And I just wanted to put them here to let you know that sometime during the year, the reporting parameter time period, we are going to be reporting on these as they are available. So if you get them or you develop them yourself or you hold an ILT, go ahead and put it in the ARCA Learn and tag it with the tags, because the tags are there. There's a DDS onboarding tag for 21, 22, 23, 24, and 25. And so go ahead and feel free to tag it. They just won't be counted in the report right now.
Right.
Because it's not fair to say somebody's only 13% completed when 5 of them are not available. So if we change the formula to say, there's only 20 that we're considering, they may have a bigger percentage of completion. So does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe.
Yes.
Okay, so the important thing is to keep tagging your ILTs, and if you develop any e-learning modules, tag those as well. If you put any video recordings of it, that, you know, if I would say if you're recording like staff meetings or trainings that you're doing on these topics, but you already have it in your onboarding, that it's an equivalency to a live one that was done. Maybe they missed it and you put a recording there for them to watch later, you know, tag it. But if you're just tagging, you do an SDP orientation and then you do an in-service a month later, don't tag the in-service. Every time you do something on SDP, we don't want it to show up here. You see what I'm saying? They get onboarded, they're done. They're done with SDP. If they take additional, like let's say we have an SDP update and they take that, we don't want all those little miniature trainings that are not part of the onboarding learning path to be ending up in this report. Does that make sense? So whatever you've got in your onboarding learning path is what needs to be tagged. And if you're using equivalency, make sure that whatever you're using as the equivalent courses are tagged as well. And that's it. It's pretty simple. It's, you know, tag your courses that are in the onboarding. If you're using an equivalency, tag that. Tag all the courses that are in the equivalency with the same DDS onboarding tag. And make sure that your SCs all say yes in that field. And you don't have to worry about anything else. You don't have to fill out any spreadsheets. You don't have to do that RCMP nonsense. Can you imagine doing this in that grid that they send out? Anybody?
No way.
I mean, it's hard enough doing it for cultural humility and person-centered planning. Now, Ernie has asked me, can we pull this report for person-centered planning and cultural humility? I said, we can, but we got to wait till everybody gets theirs in there.
Also, they already had to submit all of that and it took a really long time.
Huh?
They already had to submit all of that too, and it like took a really
Right,
long
but you're
time.
gonna have to do it next year.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I mean, I wish they had done that earlier because it was very time consuming to do it in the format that was requested.
Well, that's why he's saying, you know,
This will be
we
easier. This will be easier. This will be much easier.
yeah. So if they're able to do that, then what we'll do is create a report that pulls in only these two.
Cool. Yeah.
Cultural humility and person-centered planning, and we won't require that they answer yes to SC, because more, you know,
Right.
there are other people that are taking it. So yeah, it's not just SCs that are required to take it, managers are. So anyway, that's coming later. I you know, it's like I can only lose so much sleep and still function. So we'll do that later. But this is a major undertaking and it's going to save you guys a lot of time. I mean, we're doing the work on the front end, but you know, and it's forced people to start using ILTs in the LMS. Sorry about that, but you know, once you get the hang of it, I'm telling you, you're reporting when your managers ask for stuff, when your directors ask for stuff, when you get sued, they ask for a report. You'll be able to pull this stuff in there, all your stuff. Having it all in one place, no more spreadsheets, none of that. Does anybody have any thoughts or questions or?
Do we know when this is gonna be started reported to DDS?
It's the parameters are from July 1st through June 30th, 2026. So they're not going to require the report until June 2026. However, as you can imagine, if you have a huge Excel spreadsheet, it takes a long time to open. If you have a running report that has this much data in it, it takes hours to run. And at the end of the year, the report is probably going to blow up the Excel, you know, because it's too much. So I'm going to be running it more frequently and just adding to an existing sheet, you know, or I'm going to send it to them in quarters, you know, quarterly reports. But we don't have to do it until the end of the year. They're not asking for this data till the end of the year. But we're going to run it more frequently so we can be on top of, you know, I don't want to wait until the end of the year to find out we've got missing centers and missing people and that kind of stuff. I want to do it more regularly and make the report easier to run because it's not so big. But technically, as far as the directive, that's the date parameters. Does that answer your question? Yes.
Yes, it does. Thanks, Maureen.
Roxy, anything else that I'm missing here?
No, you did an amazing job, and I think just centralizing it through one report and making it easier to deliver to the department will definitely save everyone lots of headaches. So thanks, Maureen.
You're welcome. And I know that it's a headache right now. Thank you, Edwin. I know it's a headache right now because you're having to pull in data, and I'm gonna do a workshop on how to bring in that data if you've got it in a spreadsheet. And then I'm going to bring in somebody from Thinking Cap to help with that. And then I'm going to do another one on reporting so that we can create locally, everybody can create an incomplete report because this is only showing completions. And Kate brought up the issue, which is a great one to address, and that is, what about the people that haven't done it? We need to be able to look at those. So since DDS doesn't want that, we're not doing a global report on incompletes. I mean, I can, but that's like another thing I would have to do. I'd rather show you how to create a report, and you can run it as many times as you want and frequently, you know, you can set it up to auto run and it'll, you know, we'll just put, well, the report's the same. It's just instead of saying include completed, we're going to include incomplete. And that way you can go in and see who's not performing. And you could do one that shows completed and incomplete. You could sort by incomplete and nag those people. But you can then also sort by your units and see, well, in unit, you know, A, half of the people have done it and the other half haven't. And you can, you know, upload, you know, you can include in the report their supervisors. You can let the supervisor know. There's all kinds of uses for it. So we'll do a report writing workshop and we'll do another one on uploading old data. So, but going forward, all you got to do is put in, and I would say, don't worry so much about things you did before July 1st this year. I'm not saying don't put that in there and don't upload it, but right now, make sure that everything you're doing, that you create an instructor-led class for, and you enroll the people in it, and you mark their attendance starting July 1st. So if you've done classes in July and August, those are the ones you want to upload right now because that you want to get on the map here. And then we can go back and you can always, you know, take your spreadsheet or your sign-in sheets or whatever and, you know, gather that data together to upload at a later time. Because that ship has already sailed last year. It ended July 1st this year. And if you haven't reported that to the department, I'm curious as to what they say about that. Anything else? Anybody have any questions?
Maureen, I had a question about locking the service coordinator field. Is that going to prevent us from updating new user uploads going forward?
Locking the service coordinator field.
So like when Juan first brought up the example.
Yeah. No, I didn't know it was going to lock for everybody, so I unlocked it.
Okay.
Yeah, we're trying to figure out how can we make it so that people can't bulk
Change
upload the wrong typos or wrong case or the wrong, whatever. But that
Okay.
didn't work. So I took that off. No longer an issue. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But thanks for asking because it probably wasn't clear. So the main thing is make sure you're spelling things right, that you're doing it in the format. And if you download your users and you see that regional center is filled in for the majority of people and you want to do it for the others, just sort by that and grab that, copy and paste it into the ones that are not filled in, so that you're doing that that entry into your spreadsheet in the same format. Don't try to type it in because that's where we run into these problems. I mean, somebody put in employee and I don't know who it was, so I'm not going to call you out, but somebody typed in employee with a lowercase e and regional center was the choice. So anyway. Yeah, don't change the nomenclature. Whatever's there is what you need to follow. And sorry if I sound like the bad guy, I'm just trying to make this less painful on my end. Because once this happens, then we've got to go to them and have them do all this work in the database to correct it. And I just don't want to keep doing that. We've done it once, now we're doing it again. I don't know if you remember that, but there were a whole lot of yeses in there and then a couple of no's, and that's why. When we did that initial upload, some people were uploading things that were not already a choice. So, and Roxy says, not a bad guy. Well, bad girl then. Anyway, you'll thank me for it at the end of the year when you don't have to fill out that grid that never works right and they have to update it and it's locked. And so keep your fingers crossed. Once we get this going, I mean, it's going. I showed you it is working and it's what they want, what they need. Oh, Roxy, do you want to talk about competencies and scores?
Sure. And I'm not sure what I did to my video display, but I cannot see anyone. So I'm not sure which camera I need to be looking at. So the department with the new future release modules that they have approved to fund with Yukon, one of the things that it is expected is to include a competency test or quiz. And I know that's usually our standard whenever we develop modules, we kind of automatically include those in the materials. However, there are from the existing list of, is it 20 now, Maureen? The 20? Yeah, 20. From the existing list of 20, there were a few modules that have already embedded some of the competency tests. So that information was supplied to the department. So if you are going to be utilizing that particular LMS module, and I can send you the list. I don't know at the top of my head. So maybe Maureen, you can help me out. I think there were like maybe 5 or so. So if you are utilizing those modules, you are fine. However, if you are doing your own curriculum for that particular topic, I'll select like the intro to regional center, or, regional center history, I think it's one of the topics. If you are utilizing that particular module, that already has a test embedded into that LMS module. But if you choose to do your own training on the history of regional centers, then you do need to include a competency-based quiz or test or some kind of assessment in your individual training. And I'll send a list of those topics over to you. So I think, again, just for ease on your end, if you're able to pull those modules and just have them rolled out at your center, that will make it a lot easier because that's already built into the module.
So I have a question about that, Roxy. If there's something I do, like introduction to the new IPP, because we don't use Sandus, so we do our own training on that. Do they, I mean, I do knowledge checks in the training, but there isn't like a formal assessment. I guess, how do they define assessing knowledge, DDS? How
Are
do
you-
they?
Are you doing an e-learning module, or is it live?
It's live. It's in person. It's a live.
Okay. So if you do these knowledge checks, do you grade them?
No, I mean, it's like an interactive training where they learn the core like they learn the theory and everything, and then they have to do it
Practice
in
it, yeah,
program, and I'm watching them and moving them along in person.
Well,
And
what on my understanding, and when I talked with Ernie about it, is that the expectation is that all 25 of these topics must have some way of checking if people get it. So there's got to be a test. So if you're doing it in person, you're going to have to create some kind of a quiz that people take, and then you're going to have to post their score in the LMS when you do their attendance.
I'm just like, these are adults, like a simple, in principle, I just like really don't.
No, I know.
With that feels really silly, but if the test is you have to go and do this in your job, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
you're a manager, you have to do this, but.
Let me just say that, but my conversation, and Roxy, maybe you and Amy, you can chime in for what Amy discussed with them. But he said this will not be in the first go round. Although we're not including any scores, because we have things with scores in there. And I had it in the report to begin with. And I said, no, we're not giving them that because they're not asking for it. So my understanding from him is this is not going to be in phase 1, which is this first year. We're just gathering a baseline of who's completed.
Yes.
Okay, but in the future, there will be like, did they complete it? What was their score on however you assessed them?
That's what he's saying.
Okay, that's fine.
However,
if it's not like, it doesn't need to be changed immediately, that's fine.
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Okay.
Roxy's only saying that since we know that this might come down the pike, the ones we're developing now, why have to go in and edit them later? Let's just put it in there now.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, Roxy, if you could send the list of the ones that already have the
I will.
evaluation, that would be great.
Yes. So, we're not going to report the scores now until they are asking for them. And let me just say this, knowing how this works in the past, I think that, and this is, can we turn off the recording? Pause the recording one, if you